Senator Durbin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for this hearing. Senator Paul, thank you for being part of a bipartisan effort. Senator Lee is also working with me on companion legislation, parallel legislation, and I commend it to you. I hope that you'll look at it. It's very, very similar to what you have, but takes a slightly different approach. I just want to tell a story. It is a story of a young black woman named Eugenia Jennings. Eugenia Jennings from Alton, Illinois, was a single mom with 3 children. She became addicted to crack. There was a time when she was desperate, without money, and she sold a small quantity of crack to a man in exchange for clothing, and she ended up being arrested. At the age of 23, she was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 22 years in prison for the sale of a handful of crack cocaine. 22 years in prison. She left behind 3 small children. Her brother, Cedric Parker, a true hero, stepped in to raise those kids while his sister went off to prison for 22 years. He did a great job, and he came and testified and told us her story. And I decided to look at it more closely and get to know Eugenia Jennings. I met her in a federal prison in Greenville, Illinois, and found out that she had been a model prisoner for 10 years. She'd done everything right. There was nothing to say negatively about her, and I met with her in a room, and she looked up to me and she said, "Senator, if you can get me back with my kids, I promise you I will never, ever commit another crime in my life." I told that story to a former senator from Illinois named Barack Obama. He commuted her sentence. She's been home now for 1.5 years. She's struggling with cancer, but she's back with her children. They're reunited, they're family again. Was America safer if she spent another 10 years in prison at $29,000 or $30,000 a year? Was her family better if she was separated from them for another 10 years? Is 22 years a just sentence for what I just described to you, even if it was one of multiple offenses? And I'll be very honest with you, it was. In fact, the president saw it differently, and he did what I think was the right thing. What we're talking about here is doing everything that we can do sensibly to reduce the level of incarceration. In our bill, it focuses on drug cases, and those represent about 50% of the increase in prison incarceration. I've talked to judges, prosecutors, all across the board. They've begged for the opportunity to be able to reduce these mandatory minimums in cases just like Eugenia's. Before the president could commute her sentence, he went back to the sentencing judge, went back to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and all of them said, "Turn her loose." They knew that there was a miscarriage of justice in her case. Let's be smart about reducing crime in America. Let's not be punitive in the belief that somehow that makes us a safer nation. Mr. Chairman, this is the right time for this hearing, and this is the right time for the Judiciary Committee and Congress to address this issue.